The next game is Fantahzee.
Is it fantasy or Fantahzee?
I think that AEG pronounces it Fantahzee.
Fantasy? Okay.
But it looked like Yahtzee.
You really want to say
Fantahzee.
Exactly, because it's using the Yahtzee
right.
dice mechanism and everything. But anyways, on to it's designed by Ryan Miller. The artist is Jay Hause, and it's published again by AEG, Alderac Entertainment Group.
Cool. Yeah. Fantahzee or Fantahzee
right.
or game. Essentially, like you said, it's using the Yahtzee mechanism where you got a bunch of dice, just 6-sided dice. You roll them, keep what you want, roll them, keep what you want, roll them. But you have the coolest thing is in the middle of the table, you've got 4 decks.
5, I think.
Yeah, 5 decks of bad guys stacked up in different stacks with level 1s on top, level 2s on bottom. Level 2s include a boss, so it's kind of randomized in each deck on how far you have to go down it. And then over to the right, you've got a town, and that town's face down. And you don't have to kill the guy, but I mean, if you don't kill the bad guy next to it, he'll destroy part of the town, and you get that card, which is mostly negative points.
Yes.
But the main thing of the game is you get action cards and hero cards, and you're playing those in front of you on your turn. But that's just the half of it. Then you got to activate them on your turn to add their strength to your combat total to fight the guys in the middle, the bad guys. So say you got like 3 or 4 guys out, one guy activates with like 2 5s. And his ability might be, add another die to your roll or something. So you're rolling the dice, you get 2 5s. You sit him on his card, you activate his ability, you get another die, you roll it. But his strength might be a 4. I'm just making stuff up. These aren't real cards. I haven't played it that much. And then, you just keep doing it and you try to activate as many guys in your turn to get as big of a total for strength as possible. And then you get to fight the guys in the middle. You can either fight the ones that are showing, or you can delve into one of the decks where you press your luck. So if you kill the guy on top, he might have a strength of 4. So you kill him, say you got 12 strength going in. Then you got 8 left. You're like, well, I'm going to press my luck. You flip over to the next guy, maybe he's a 9.
Right.
Well, obviously, you probably want to press your luck more, but you could, or whatever. But in the end, what happens is after you kill all the stuff you can, they attack you. Either they'll counterattack you based on the ones that you killed, or if they have the word ambush, they're just going to add damage together. And I can't remember. There's another game that dealt damage this way, but essentially you're not taking damage. Like, it's not like I do 15 points of damage to you and you subtract it from a health total.
Right.
You take, say, the bad guy's hitting you as like ambush 5. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But say you're taking ambush 5. Well, the way it works is you're taking damage, so you have to kill one of your guys. It doesn't matter which one you kill. You just take damage, you kill a guy. When you kill a guy, you subtract that guy's strength from the total damage you're taking. So say you kill off of 3. Well, now you're still taking damage of 2. So you got to kill another guy. You subtract it. You keep killing guys until you lower the total down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember what game that did that, but it's a cool mechanism anyway.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much the game. You keep going until 3 of the bosses are dead in the deck, in the different decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever the last player is gets the turn. So it's equal amount of turns.
Right.
Game ends. Whoever has the most points, because all these guys are worth points, is the winner.
Right.
What'd you think of this, Matt?
It was fun. It's rolling dice Yahtzee style. I mean, that's a fan favorite, I guess, mechanic that a lot of people tend to go for. I mean, you got obviously like King of Tokyo kind of capitalized on that system, and people tend to gravitate towards games that do that same mechanism over and over. It's just something that people like chucking dice to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that part was fun. The little bit of the pressure luck, which I never did. I think you might have done a time or two with the delve. I never really got into that, but it's nice to know that it's there to do. Setting up your party's fun. Trying to roll your dice and trying to figure out a good way to get your guys that'll work with each other. I guess a good synergy going on so you can roll dice and benefit off of each other. And worrying about that town is a chore, man. It's like, there might be some big baddie there, but it's like, I don't really want to deal with that dude because maybe he does have like a counter strike of 3 or 4 on it. It's like I'm going to lose like 2 guys by doing this because maybe I got like low health guys or not enough to cover the damage dealt back at you. So there's decisions to make.
Oh, yeah. And I think if you've listened to or watched our Guilty Pleasures episode, where we talk about our top 5 guilty pleasures, Yahtzee was one of mine because I love the mechanism. I'm not too enamored with Yahtzee itself. Free for all is awesome. Yahtzee Free for All. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. That's fun. So I really like the idea of rolling dice, re-rolling and re-rolling. I mean, a lot of games use it really properly now, and I think this game uses it really well too. And you're right, the synergy is a big deal because you want to get guys, there's some of these guys can activate by playing a ton of dice on them, but you can also activate them by adding steam.
Right.
Some of your other characters will give steam when you activate them. So or there's also action cards that you get as well, because on your turn you can play 2 guys and 2 actions, but you only draw 4 at the end of your turn. So that's one kind of problem I had with the game. I kind of wish you were drawing from separate decks for that, because I know like you got tons of actions throughout the whole game.
Right.
I got tons of guys the whole game.
Yes.
It'd be cool if there was an action deck and a character deck, and you'd get to draw 4 cards, but you choose which decks you're drawing it from.
That's true, because if you just get unlucky and pull nothing but actions, I mean, you're kind of a sitting duck. You can't do nothing.
Right.
Because there's no cards, I don't think, that let you draw cards. Maybe if that was there, it could fix that, maybe, but you might just draw more action cards too. I
don't remember seeing anything that allows you to draw more cards.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying if it was there,
yeah,
it could alleviate that a little bit. But
yeah. So, I mean, more plays, we'll see if that's actually a big deal, but I feel like that would have been cool if you can kind of control, or if you're always just drawing 2 guys and 2 actions. It doesn't have to be like you pick.
Right.
It's just you're guaranteed both ways.
A balance.
Yeah, a balance of guys and actions. So I really did like that. The one weird thing is that we talked about while we were playing it was, even if a town has like maybe 12, 15 cards or something like that, even if it runs out of cards, the game still goes.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of weird. And I thought of a cool solution to that.
What's that?
So each town card is negative points. Now, obviously, this may not work right now the way they got it, because it either gives you negative points, which might be 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, but it might give you lower negative points, but then have a detrimental effect on it, like kill your highest guy, or I don't remember all the different abilities that's on it, but usually the ones that give you less negative points also have an ability that's detrimental as well.
Right.
But what happens if that deck runs out, the person who has the most negative score is the only person who loses? You know what I mean? Or if the deck runs out, everyone loses.
Yeah, well, I thought it would be cool to make it a timer.
Or just in the game?
In that sense, yeah, in the game. Or it could be, actually, you could play to it if it was a timer, so maybe even making it to where it turns into a co-op game and everybody loses.
Well, it's kind of semi-co-op too, because if you win the game by killing at least 3 of the bosses, then whoever has the highest point total is the winner. Kind of like Legendary style.
Right.
But it does give you a sense of, you got to protect the town.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I feel like it may have been a little long.
Possibly.
But, I mean, that we haven't played it much, so maybe that's a little unfair to say.
Well, I mean, it might feel a little long because it does get a repetition to it at a point once you get an established party.
That's true. Yeah, once you get an established party, you're dishing out damage. It's usually, I mean, well, I would say it's usually unlikely you would have guys die, but even if you take damage, somebody's going to die. It's not like where other games, it's like, oh, you don't do enough damage to hurt my awesome party.
So I keep my whole party. That was a concern I had, because I'm sure there's some optimal setup, 2, 3 maybe optimal setups to get like a really good party. But I think the thing that neutralizes that is the fact that if to kill a boss that has Counter-Strike, something is dying.
True.
It's either up to you to pick a big, healthy guy to just get it over in one, or maybe you're going to lose 2 dudes because you're picking kind of like lower guys that you're using. Because sometimes the lower health guys were, like I had a low health guy, I think it was a 0, but if I rolled a 1, then I got 2 extra dice and an extra roll.
Oh, that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
I had him too.
Yeah, it's a good guy to have, but he's 0 health. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, you can't just throw him as a fodder to die, because he does nothing to the damage.
He does nothing. He's kind of pointless. You actually can't use him because you're just going to lose him for no reason.
Maybe the game, it makes a good point. about characters dying, maybe that's what was dragging the game out a little bit. Because once you lose your synergy and you lose your awesome combo that you have going on, you have to build that up again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like getting kicked while you're down.
Right.
It takes you a few turns to get kicked again before you get up on your feet. So,
and another thing with the synergy is you are drawing cards. It's random on what you're going to get. You might not ever get a chance to get those guys. So you kind of got to roll with what you're given and find the best thing that's given to you, I guess.
Right.
So.
Well, either way, I think this game is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's Fantahzee.
The dice were not.
Oh, the dice are horrible. Man. Yeah, these things were like lopsided and
pretty bad quality.
Yeah, there was like gashes in them, and you could tell they happened during the tumbling process because it had the black paint for the pips,
right?
Like in the gashes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, these are really bad, guys. Really bad. Now, I mean, maybe they rushed this first printing or something to get them there about Gen Con.
Maybe.
Easily replaced. They're not fancy dice. They're just like this off yellow kind of color.
Yeah, there's plenty of game in that box still. There's tons of cards.
Well, you could just buy any dice. You can put any dice you want in there.
I'm just saying a positive spin on what we're saying. There's plenty of game in there.
Oh, true. Yeah, and there's tons of cards. They're good quality cards. What I like about it the most though is that the box is got tons of space for expansions. It even has a card over top some of the wells that's in it. It says, "Hey, these are blank for a reason.
Really?
Wait for our expansion." It's like thieves and something. Or something.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
They're looking ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Fantahzee.
That game.
That game.